So my understanding of GShade is that it has been like the one add-on that has been held up above all other add-ons as the kind of add-on that Square Enix should not enforce their anti-add-on stance on. That this is the add-on of all add-ons that can be trusted. It doesn't give any play advantage. It's managed by a good portion of the community that just want to make people happy. That's my understanding. I have tried using GShade with WoW, which is basically the same tool. And I ended up just like, it's still installed on my computer. So if I go to GShade, it pops up, but like I don't use it. Now when I boot up WoW, like all the I just never uninstalled it. So I assume that's the same thing. I don't mind the way 14 looks. So let's give it a shot.
This means that the GShade installer is in fact making the request, but apparently that's not enough for GShade, as it's now blatantly malicious code restarts your computer when run in this way. Just as a note, if you update GShade and use it as intended, there's no restarting or anything. This behavior only occurs when being run in a certain way in order to download presets by a different program in accordance with GShade's download agreement. The guy admitted that he had implemented this specifically because of Not Knight's installer software, and also claimed that if he did anything worse, it would have been Not Knight's fault for distributing it to people and triggering it. All right, so
wait, what? So it's okay because what?
So this is the div for GShade here. Basically, people were getting annoyed. I'll just summarize here before we get into the nitty-gritty. People are getting annoyed about all of the forced updates that GShade was putting out constantly. Like, I had seen people memeing on this, and if you had been using it, you're probably annoyed as well. GShade has pushed another pointless, obnoxious, patronizing update that breaks people's presets and that treats them like idiots, even though it broke their shit. Great update and treatment of people using it. Yeah, so basically, please see the GShade fact for information on how to properly use it. It's like there's so many all the time. On today, this day of yet another forced GShade update. Oh, so this was actually something people knew about a while ago. I remind everyone that the developers absolutely do not care that their pseudo malware practices inconvenience you. This was from January 28th, so people already knew that there was some crap like this going on. Now,
I mean, January 28th wasn't that long ago. Like, I don't know when she published this, but like, it was not January all that long ago. I'm learning about all this on February 7th. So, that's fairly recent. So do we know when they started doing all this crap? It seems like what they don't want is that you get a set of presets you like, and then another piece of software comes along, either identical in that it just literally pulls from their GitHub repository and like just kind of makes a branch of its own, or does similar enough things that it allows their presets to come in compatibly. And so they don't want to live in a world where you can take their presets out of their ecosystem to somebody that's doing a better job. Right? Like if you could just download your Android phone onto an iPhone and it had all your contacts and it looked for all the same applications and the same games and it transferred your game files and it brought over all your pictures. Like, it is in Android's best interest that doesn't exist, and vice versa, because they want there to be a little bit of friction so that once you're in their ecosystem, they stay there. So it sounds like that's what they want. And that rather than, and then somebody did build that tool, and so now they're gonna like shut your computer off if you use it.
Now it's blown up. Today it has blown up. Every time I open 14, I keep wondering if I have to download yet another fucking GShade update, because I had to do that for the past 2 weeks.
So what gives them this level of confidence? Which came first, GShade or ReShade? Like, if GShade is a split off of ReShade, this is literally somebody copying somebody else and then claiming they're the original. Reshade chat says Reshade came first. So just to be clear, I read a book I really liked, but I thought it should have a different ending. And so I re-released the book and I changed the final chapter. And now somebody wants to re-release my book, but, you know, one where not all the pages are sticky, because for some reason mine always has sticky pages and it's gross. And I'm like, whoa, 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 if you want my final chapter, you gotta deal with my sticky pages. And if you don't, I will light the entire book on fire. Am I caught up? It's not your book.
Now it's getting very annoying. Okay, so, yeah, so you say the malware update was from last night. Usually, the updates to GShade were breaking people's presets. They were getting very tedious and didn't seem like they added a lot of good features or anything anyway. So someone made a version of GShade that broke the forced updates and stopped this, allowing people to just use GShade without having to constantly update it, right? Well, after this, the GShade dev got really, really pissed off. Hello, Knight. Anti-tampering code is not unusual in proprietary software. It is impossible to trigger that code by running the GShade installer as a normal end user in any fashion. You must call the individual functions of the app from an external third-party program designed to utilize its functions in a clandestine fashion. This was meant to be a lesson to you specifically about taking this approach to the problem.
Okay.
Anything could have been.
Just to be clear, let's read this. I think Zeppela's doing a great job of reading the actual words that were written. Let's come at this from another angle. Hello. If you actually built your own freaking thing from the ground up, it is not uncommon for you to feel ownership over that thing. And as long as everybody is using your unique idea, that definitely is not a fork off of somebody else's idea, in the correct way, because it is not buggy or flawed in any way, it should be fine. However, there are companies out there, like companies that make games or something like that, that really don't like when somebody uses a third-party program to secretly modify their experience. You know, like a shader changing the visual experiences on a game. Yeah, so we're anti-third-party programs. Here at Third Party Program Incorporated, we're really anti-third-party programs. So what I've done is I hate that people are using my free software to modify somebody else's game in a way they prefer, in a way that I don't, that modifies it. I hate people that modify games here at modifygames.org. And I would really like to teach this one person who fixed a flaw in my open source third-party shenanigans, which I just took from somebody else's. And so I am going to maliciously, instead of fixing the problem, go in and build something. I could have made the building functional. The first floor toilet always leaked. And so you fix something so that when you pee in the toilet, it doesn't shoot crap all over you anymore. And so what I've done is I've gone in and I've gently sawed all the studs so that if you start messing with the toilet, the whole building will fall on you. I could have just fixed the toilet, but I'd rather the whole thing fall on you. I hope it doesn't fall on anybody innocent. As far as I can tell, it should only fall on you, the plumber fixing the toilet for everybody. So I chose a restart. I chose this particular malicious, stupid function because I wanted you to be wildly inconvenienced if you decided to not be wildly inconvenienced by my updates. So what I wanted is the optimal experience to be the one where you were inconvenienced and you have a bunch of visual presets to modify a game with third-party software. And if you choose not to modify it in the ways that I approve, I would like you to be inconvenienced anyway. And so what the cohesive experience is that no matter what, here at gshade.org, we want you to be inconvenienced all of the time. Slightly more noticeable? Do you know what happens if somebody's computer just restarts? It can, like, I have all this other stuff up. Consider it similar to an anti-cheat software. You run a piece of software that is against terms of service. And people say, oh, but they don't even enforce on GShade. One time a community manager in 2013 said it was okay. If you wanted to run a true anti-cheat software, your new GShade update would uninstall GShade. Oh God, what author was that? Is it 50 Shades of Grey? Wasn't 50 Shades of Grey originally like a fan fiction? And then I don't even know what it's about. I'm asking for a friend. 50 Shades of Grey, wasn't it originally a fan fiction? Yes, it was called Masters of the Universe, and it was a Twilight Saga fan fiction. And then E.L. James I think came out against fan fiction. Super cool. Super cool. Yeah. I feel like fan fiction's theft. And I feel like that now that I've made a lot of money off of doing the thing.
And in the payload, and you'd have been responsible for distributing it to people and triggering it. I chose a restart, which is, by the way, that's what it does. That's what the malware does. It forces your computer to restart if it detects you doing something that it doesn't want you doing. Because I wanted something that was still completely harmless, but slightly more noticeable than a quick process kill. Consider it similar to what anti-cheat software does when something particularly bad turns up. Yeah. So, yeah. This is the first instance of the guy just freely admitting that, yes, he did put this malware in the code. And yes, it was to spite somebody
a specific
that tried
person
to make a version that wasn't constantly updating. Even though, yeah, it's going to be on everybody's computer that downloads GShade. And, yeah, they wanted it to be, harmless. And then the guy, Not Night, responded, I hate to tell you this, but including malware in your code and saying I was the one triggering it is not the big brain play you think it is. So probably one of the funniest things about this to me, and I've seen this in a couple other things that the guy has said.
By the way, WoW's Warden or any of these other anti-cheat software, none of them assume that shutting down your hardware is harmless. I have never, ever, ever, ever heard. Back when, freaking the Maxis stuff, the Sim City had all that, like, digital rights management stuff, and they were gonna, like, you could only install it 6 times or whatever, and then you had to buy a new copy of the game and all that. Not a single one of those unbelievably oppressive systems trying to avoid theft or over modification, not a single one does anything besides limit your access to that piece of software. None of them would think that I didn't want to just lock you out of it with the quick process kill. I wanted something completely harmless, like causing your entire hardware to shut off. What the hell is wrong with you?
Is the fact that every time he talks about what he did, I mean, maybe this has changed since I just heard that he issued an apology. But before, everything that I'd heard the guy say was just like, he really felt like he was the smartest one in the room, and that this was all fine. It's just like what it
is. He smarter than whoever wrote GShade? Probably.
Anti-cheat software does. This is what I said right here, right? Okay, so, yeah, he put that malware code into GShade specifically to target competition. And, yeah, it forces a restart of your whole PC if it detects the competitor shaders. Yeah, completely harmless. Hope anyone that triggered it remembered to save any work they were doing on their PC frequently. Yeah, like, for me, yeah, it doesn't matter. Now, some people say that it does look like they removed it, but, I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. At this point, it really doesn't matter. You cannot use something from people that are willing to put this shit in the install. I shouldn't have to explain that to you. I think that's common sense.
Keep in mind that this guy is in charge of the glory child, the perfect house on the hill. Yoshi P! Naoki Yoshida, please! Please let us use just some add-ons in your game. Oh, Square Enix! Please, please, please understand that add-ons like GShade are all good, and they never hurt your users in any way, and they don't make your game or your community look like jerks and idiots and malicious morons. Please, 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 just trust us. You can trust us. You get really embarrassed and you cry when something makes your game or your community hurt or look bad. And you can trust these people who are not employees. They don't run anything by your quality assurance team to modify your game files. You can trust us. Just look at GShade. Just look at GShade.
It's everybody. TLDR. An anti-tampering function was added to GShade's installer to trigger restarts in the event that a third-party external software or library utilized the GShade installer's functions without actually running it in a clandestine fashion. Anti-tampering code is not a...
I cut a guy's lock, I stole his bike, and I went home and I put a lock on it, because, man, I don't want somebody stealing my bike.
Unusual and proprietary software. This is basically reiterating the same thing that he just said. If I uninstall GShade, is my computer at risk? No. Make sure, I would just recommend that you completely uninstall it. When I uninstalled GShade this morning, I had to go into the file folder and I had to, first I had to uninstall it. Then I had to restart my computer. Then I had to turn it on again. And even though I had already uninstalled it through the GShade program, I had to and I had uninstalled and it said uninstall successful. I restart, I open Final Fantasy again, and it still popped up. And so then I exit, and then I had to delete a bunch of files. And that anything GShade related, deleted all of that shit. I found this Reddit post. It's like, okay, but how do I remove GShade completely? And someone suggested that you need to delete, there was like a specific file that I need to, yeah, this. I had to go to the game folder and delete these files. And then I restarted again, and then it was clean. Then it was gone. But yeah, I had to, it was a little bit harder than I felt it needed to be. I am shocked. I really didn't expect this to be coming from GShade people. I mean, usually when we talk about third-party tools and mods and add-ons and stuff, I feel like almost always GShade was put in this different category of like, oh, but they're fine. It's just GShade. It's just GShade. There's never been any problems with GShade. We trust GShade. It's fine. It's fine. This is what Yoshi P warned us about. Whoa. He said the real reason you can't use add-ons is because these people could just put anything in there anytime they wanted. Oh my god, wait. Is there more self-reporting that's happened? Yes? Okay, look. Okay, chat, look. Alright, look. A computer restart is not malicious. That's an odd threshold for malware. What? What are you talking about? That's an odd threshold.
I stole your bike. It's not like I stole your car. Like, it's a used bike. Nobody even buys used bikes. It's just a bike. Let it go. Like, it was just like a little theft. I took one candy bar from the store. Do you know how many candy bars they sell a month? Like, that's like a weird line to like suddenly call that theft. Like, I only broke some of your dishes. Like, I didn't even break all of them. I didn't even break the dishes you were using. I just broke some of them to let you know that you were not cooking the meat that I gave you correctly. Like, it's not... I just made the software do something without permission that was substantially beyond the bounds of the software itself. I just, you know, am gonna mess with your hardware and any other software you're running. Like, whoa.
Hold for malware. You guys are so like, I can't believe y'all took this so seriously and you're so mad about it. What?
You could mess up all kinds of stuff by force restarting, especially if they don't know that's what's doing it and they let it restart over and over and over. Like, you can seriously mess up somebody's stuff.
What's y'all's problem? I can't believe you would call it malware. Like, it's just, this can't be real. This can't be real, but it is. Okay, so it looks like our FFXIV, the subreddit for Final Fantasy XIV, has banned GShade as a whole, and any talk about GShade, you can't, and also the G-Posers community in light of this, okay?
I don't know why they call it malware. Like, it's not even that big deal. Like, I wasn't trying to do anything malicious. I just wanted to, like, I just intended to do, like, a little bit of harm. But, like, it's only a little harm. And so, like, I only intended to do, like, a tiny little bit. I only intended to do a little harm. And so, like, I don't understand why you think that it's so bad. Like, I was just gonna do, like, the tiniest little bit.
It's really crazy to me that some people cannot admit that they fucked up. That this is very difficult for some people to just admit. Maybe you did. Okay, maybe it just took them a long time. A lot longer than it should have. Hello everyone. We want to address the recent controversy surrounding the currently popular reshade tool GShade. anything outside of the vanilla FFXIV launcher, an executable file, could potentially put you and your PC at risk if the tool developers choose to use the elevated access you grant them through their programs. If left unattended, malicious actions taken by these unverified add-ons and tools like GShade can cause potentially irreparable damage to your machine. Please use your best judgment in deciding whether or not to download and use third-party tools. As a reminder, our FFXIV and the Reddit Discord
I literally am the gingerbread man.
Camp Spaceship, Sharon Prime, thank you. By the way, I did not go back and say thank you to everybody through the previous stuff. So, Farmer Girl, thank you for gifting a sub to Dingo. Neo Nuts with 17 months. Cerule with 8 months. Thank you guys.
Endorse several community resources for our users to use to enhance their experience. Through community and third-party tool links, these resources are vetted by our staff at the time, and they're added to ensure they abide by our community rules and guidelines. Unfortunately, after verifying the changes the developer of GShade has made to their program, will no longer endorse this tool as a community resource, and its links have been removed from our server. You're allowed to discuss the tool as a whole, but links to the Discord server or its installer will be removed, and you will be warned, please do not share links to the tool or its Discord server. So, it's over for GShade. It is over. The party is done for GShade at this point.
If only there was another piece of software that was capable of doing everything GShade could do, that was older than GShade and could be the basis of GShade. If only there was a way that we could, again, shade our Final Fantasy XIV experience. A new second time. A re-shade, as it were.
You said, but the Reddit banning GShade made it really hard to find out what was happening. Good point. Well, did they make a post that was pinned about it? Let's check. Maybe. Oh, no, they did. There's a mega thread. Yeah, there is. It just says GShade updates. Yeah, they should... FFXIV Reddit mods. Hey, y'all should definitely make a post on here and pin it to let people know what's going on. Someone said that, oh, shutting down the PC doesn't seem like malware. Oh, that doesn't seem that bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
You could fry all sorts of hardware just shutting things on and off. Like, there's a reason that you don't just do. There's a reason you're supposed to properly shut down your machine anyway. And you don't sit there and start it up and shut it down and start it up and shut it down, start it up and shut it down.
GShade, if they added a payload to GShade that will scan your system for specific files and then force restart your PC if it detects something that it doesn't like. If it finds a target program that it doesn't like, it forces a restart.
And if it's looking for reshade, it's doing it if you boot it up with Final Fantasy, but like, what if you have multiple shaders because you prefer them? I guess it was that it was trying to use presets with the wrong shader. What was triggering it? Like, I have reshade on my computer for WoW, and so if I had been running GShade for 14, which I don't, I think I personally enjoy the way Final Fantasy 14 looks. So I get that if you don't like the way a game looks, a piece of software that can modify that is really handy.
That is malicious. That is incredibly dangerous. That is not permissions that you want to freely give to a third-party tool at all. It's incredibly reckless and stupid that they would put that. And it's like, you know, there are lines that devs cannot cross. Okay, there's some things you just cannot allow. And if they cross that line, you cannot trust them anymore. Okay, that's what it comes down to. Could they have put something worse in there? Yeah. Obviously. Be glad that they didn't, but the fact is that they're willing to do that. So you cannot use this. You cannot trust them. You cannot use GShade. So yeah, delete it, uninstall it, use ReShade instead. It is fine. Okay, so is this the apology? Yes. Hi everyone. On the recent concerns involving GShade, I would like to personally apologize for the undue stress I may have caused both the community and our moderators in the process of attempting to improperly address an ongoing situation. As part of a conflict with third parties attempting to redistribute copyrighted assets within GShade without permission, an anti-tampering function was we're still in denial. Okay, so this is not an apology.
Hi. I'm not sorry at all that you got a little upset about me just shutting down your computer, not even like a big deal. Which, maybe, possibly, could have been a little better. But we were just trying to protect, because the problem is you have these things that are like copyrighted, like Final Fantasy XIV, that just don't want somebody modifying their game files. And we, while modifying their game files and their game experience, really don't appreciate people just coming in and modifying software and doing that. No. Just coming in without permission of the original developer and changing the user experience. That would be bad. And so we went ahead and decided that you using our free software that breaks terms of service for the game that you use it with, which is just a copy of someone else's work, by the way, that we would go ahead and start causing permanent damage to your property, maybe. Sorry if that bothers you. And so this feature, not a bug, this very intentional function, I guess I'll turn it off and won't turn it on again. And I will look forward to in the future, maybe slightly less deleting all your settings regularly when I update all the time. Because that's what I should have done in the first place. Did I read it correctly?
This is not an apology. This is not, I'm sorry I put malware in GShade. This is, well, actually, what I was trying to do was stop people from doing shit I didn't want them to do on their computer. And I wanted to send a message. And I'm sorry if I stressed you out by it, but this is not an apology. An anti-tampering function was at.
Honestly, in the modern day and age, don't apologize. Just remove it. Like, the apology has made this worse. They were better off not apologizing. They were better off just removing it and saying, it's been removed. Single sentence. Because clearly you're not capable of communicating in a way that's not filled with frustration and being a dick, because you were already doing that. So unless you're really ready to change, this was just a very much I'm the smartest person in the room and I'm sorry you're not as smart as me. You would be better off not saying anything if that's the only apology you can offer.
Added to GShade's installer to trigger restarts in the event that a third-party external software or library utilized the GShade installer's functions without actually running it. It was not possible to trigger this function by running the GShade installer normally. This function has been removed from the GShade installer and will never be re-implemented again. Okay. Moving forward, I will also be looking into easing up the update requirements associated with GShade. Why couldn't you just do that instead in the first place? Why couldn't you fix the problem that everybody was complaining about instead of spitefully putting malware in GShade that will make no one want to use?
Yeah, there's no way, like, they spent time doing all this instead of just doing the thing that now they're gonna do. And so they're saying, I'm sorry, and now I'll just do what I should have been doing in the first place.
GShade anymore. People can't even talk about it anymore. This was so stupid on so many. Like, how did you think people would react?
As somebody that doesn't use GShade, did GShade have like a donation link? Was this person's job? Or was this just something they were running on the side? Like, so within the WoW community, there are add-ons out there that are just somebody's side gig. There are some add-ons for like Minecraft that are that way, and they take a long time to be updated. And the experience you get is like it's somebody's hobby. And then there are others that much more consistently update and do all this because they take it very seriously, and it provides a bigger portion, or maybe in some cases the entirety of their living. Like, what was really burned here? Was this a staff? Was it a team? Like, when they say at the community and our moderators, how many people were affected by this? Like, is this a big meltdown? Or is this like one guy? Like, if the balanced Discord melted down, it would affect a lot of people. So because I'm not involved in this community, I don't know how many people are really affected by a GShade meltdown. Assuming everybody can just go watch a video guide on how to install Reshade and just move on.
Really don't know. I really don't know why you thought that this would all be, like, everyone would be all right with that. Was there ultimately what led to the conflict in the first place? Oh boy. Well, I definitely would not call that an apology. It's more like, I'm sorry I stressed you, and I'm sorry that I couldn't get away with it. Yeah, I really just thought that you guys would learn your lesson. So, I was just hoping y'all would learn your lesson and not do what I didn't want you to do. So, I don't know, I guess I won't try that next time, but yeah, I'm really sorry I got caught. And, I won't do that one again. It doesn't even say, like, I realize that this is dangerous, what I've done. I realize that abusing our trust with the community, it has damaged our credibility, probably forever. I cannot believe that I acted in such haste and without consulting community members and our people who enjoy our tool, and I'm so sorry for betraying your...
Yeah, I mean, if you're capable of like a real apology, but if you were able to see that level of harm, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. So, like, the fact that you weren't able to see that level of harm, the best thing you can do is just, like... Because now what she's talking is she's talking with a whole bunch of reason. And this was done intentionally spitefully. Intentionally spitefully. This was not... I had issues with it, and it's accidentally shutting down people's computer. Like, this was put in maliciously. The goal was to make somebody's day a lot worse in a noticeable and meaningful way. I could have just killed the application, but I thought it was way better to go way bigger.
Trust, and I was just emotional and upset, and I'm gonna let other people take control of the project now. No! It wasn't any of that shit. It was just like, it really wasn't that bad what I did, and there was a really good reason why I did it, and you guys are just overreacting. But since everyone's so mad about it, well, I won't do that one next time. Get rid of it. Clean your system of GShade and go back to Reshade. This is my advice to you. What's the difference between Reshade and GShade? Well, GShade is an offshoot of Reshade. So Reshade is the original. It is the OG. It is the open source shaders program that works for many, many different games on PC. And GShade took ReShade and then made it a little bit different, more specialized for Final Fantasy XIV. But I personally have only ever used one shader, and it is from ReShade. I have only ever used one shader in my entire time of playing this game, and it is a ReShade shader. It is called Lightweight Enhancements. That's it. That's the only one I need. But first, before you worry about ReShade, make sure that you have completely removed GShade from your system. Because if you do not completely remove GShade and delete all files associated, ReShade will not work. Because I tried, when I uninstalled GShade, I just did the uninstaller and then I restarted the computer. And then I immediately installed
So did she try GShade? Like, it sounds like GShade was actually on her computer. So she said she's only ever used one. But it sounds like GShade was on her computer, and she said the only one she's used is ReShade?
ReShade, and I had DX11 crashes immediately because I had not deleted all of the leftover files from GShade. So you have to do the normal uninstaller and delete all the extra files that are left over and clean it up completely. Make sure that next time you open the game, no GShade pops up at all. That there's no GShade stuff popping up at the top of the screen, nothing like that anymore. As a reminder.
Maybe I just misheard her. Maybe the only one she's used is GShade. I thought she said the only one she'd used was ReShade. Okay. I appreciate her catching me up on this, because I was out for the week and I'm not a GShade user, and this has been a mess. But as somebody that has watched the add-on debate happen over and over and over and over and over and over, it is the one add-on that has always been thrown in my face is like, well, when you say they don't want add-ons, they don't mean GShade. Pretty sure they do.
Reminder, FFXIV actually has official shaders through NVIDIA that you can use. So this is approved by Square Enix. It is completely allowed, and it's a way to make your game look prettier if you happen to use have access to the NVIDIA layover tools, overlay tools. I mean, I can't believe this all happened because of so many forced GShade updates. Really, I'm so shocked that this is the hill that he wanted to die on, because it was like easier to put malware into GShade than just not update it so much. Like, either don't push out an update every single day, or put malware in it. Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense as a solution to the problem that you have. These relationships that we have with these add-on developers are based on trust.
No, that can't be real.
We are trusting.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Why? Why would you pay that? Eric, half a year. Thank you. It's entirely trust-based. You have to give, because these are things that modify other software, you have to give them these permissions. So you have to trust any add-ons that you put in things so much. And the moment that trust is gone, even if it's just implied, I don't know how you'd ever give it back. Like, if you needed this software for work or something, like if the game wouldn't work without an add-on or something, then you'd have to. But, like, it's one of my issues with, like, DRMs or, like, the bring your own device stuff or whatever, when, like, I've had various things, I've worked for companies that wanted me to put software on my phone. And when I went through and looked at what permissions that software was granted and what I was okaying, and they were allowed to, like, look at my photos and read my text messages and see my email and like see anything I Google. And so if I Google like another company because I want to apply there or whatever, or like just anything, I don't want them to have that level of access. And so I've told them no. And they need to provide me with a secondary device. I'm not going to use it. And like I made a whole stink when I was at a previous company and people were like, why? Is there something on your computer you want to hide? I just think it's weird that my boss should be able to like metaphorically dig through my dresser. Like it doesn't matter that my pictures are just like my dog and like what I had for dinner. Like it's none of their freaking business. So like add-ons like this are way more optional. So why would I ever trust them again?
Them as third-party developers to not put anything like this in their tools. And once the community finds out about it, we will immediately spread the word so that way people will not endanger themselves or their computers. This is one of the reasons Yoshi P says that you shouldn't use third-party tools at all, because this can happen at any time. You think it's blown out of proportion? Why? Like, do you think that I should not tell everybody to uninstall GShade? I did immediately. As soon as I got word, I uninstalled GShade and now.
Yeah, the person whose entire livelihood is dependent on a computer, which she probably cannot replace overnight. So if she lost her computer, she would be out of work for some length of time. And she has all this stuff on her computer, such as assets and stuff for her streaming and all of her stream layouts and all that. And so if anything happens to that computer, she's in serious trouble. And if her computer starts restarting or something in the middle of the day, it like restarts her stream. And if she loses, maybe she had tabs already open for her browser to like kind of shape what she wanted to talk about or react throughout the day. And now she has to go dig through history. Like, you think it's so weird that somebody whose entire livelihood is dependent on a clean running computer that runs Final Fantasy cleanly in a nice way, and that all you've done is take an optional modification to Final Fantasy and you've put all of that at jeopardy? That's so weird that she wouldn't be okay with that.
I'm telling everybody why I did that and why I installed GShade instead. If I felt like it was urgent for me to do that, based on the information that I'd heard, I feel like it's my responsibility to tell everybody else too. Hey, is that not nice? Hey. Hey. How did you feel? I'd have a question for you. I have a question for you, Not Night.
Oh, like they're in the chat?
How did you feel when you'd seen this? That a computer restart is not malicious, and that is an odd threshold for malware. I see that you wrote, this is an interesting grave to dig. I lost my shit knowing I mind gamed Marot into digging their own grave. But did you expect them to double down so hard and to not in any way acknowledge the fact that putting this payload into GShade was a wrong thing to do? That's what's wild to me. Like, even in the apology, I'm keeping watch on if there's any new GShade updates, so I'll spread word on Twitter if I see anything sus. Anyways, here's a fun fact.
So this was all done because Not Night created a way that you could choose when to update GShade, right? That's what Not Night did. Because I think there's some people talking about they were trying to make scripts so that you could like export your presets into another shader. But just to make sure I understand what Not Night did, the one that's in her chat, all Not Night did was just make it to where it just didn't auto update. Like, have you ever had like Windows auto update and it just pops up all the day and you're like trying to work and it's like, it's gonna restart the computer in 60 seconds, and you're like, somebody just made a button that'll just stop that. You can still update whenever you want. It's not modifying the software. Like, that is your experience. It's just not forcing you to update, so that if you don't want the computer to restart at 3 a.m., because maybe you're still working at 3 a.m., it won't. That's it. And so all they did was make it not auto-update, which was a modification to improve the experience of GShade, which is already a modified experience to improve the experience of Reshade, which is already a third-party way to modify the experience of Final Fantasy XIV. So just to be clear, the official stance was it's okay to take somebody who says, please don't modify my game, and modify it with Reshade. And it's okay to take what Reshade did and modify it with GShade. But 2 generations, that's too much. You start modifying the modifying to the modifying. Whoa! No, 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 no. If you modify GShade, which is a modification to Reshade, which is a modification to the game that you're running, that's too much. That's too much.
GShade moved the download links to a password-protected URL where the password was an entire paragraph stating, I'm using the official GShade installer to download these files. What? So the whole paragraph is a password for a password-protected URL where GShade had moved download links. The paragraph is, by entering or otherwise utilizing this password, I hereby acknowledge that I'm using the official GShade installer, the official GShade Linux installation script, or the official XIV on Mac script. Further, I acknowledge that I must request permission from all of the creators and copyright holders of the shaders and textures in this file before accessing or downloading this file through any other scripts, applications, or tools.
But you could use Reshade presets inside GShade. They just don't want you going back out, right? It's just all so stupid.
It's so weird to get that hung up on, like, feeling official and having permission and following the rules from the copyright holders and creators for a tool that people use that is not really allowed in FFXIV. This is just gonna have Square Enix cry about this stuff more with you bringing this up. Wait, with me bringing it up? Wait, what? Do you think I shouldn't talk about it and just let people have their computers restart? I mean, yeah, maybe it's actually my fault. Yeah, you know what? Wait a minute. I think you have a point. I think you have a point. It's not GShade's fault for putting malware in GShade. It's my fault for talking about it because,
yeah.
Anytime I talk about something...
That's actually the whole problem with this entire situation. Yoshi P said, please don't modify my game, and don't trust anybody who does. So Reshade, who allows their software to modify game experiences, runs on Final Fantasy XIV. So the GShade creator creates it. So Not Night fixes a problem with GShade updating too much. And the problem with that? Freaking Zeppla. Freaking Zeppla. Obviously. Obviously.
I think it becomes worse. If I hadn't talked about it, then they wouldn't have put malware in GShade yesterday. Damn. Is it the malware distributors that are the problem?
No. Nope.
No, it's the streamers that are wrong.
Yeah, if you put the malware in yesterday and then the streamers react today, and then some streamer reacts tomorrow to the first streamer, it's the streamers.
All right, so Not Night, you've linked me to your blog post about it.
Oh, this is.
You said you don't know how a viewer can blame you. Oh, look, this actually happens every time that I talk about something that is negative. It actually happens every single time. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about. If I talk about anything that is negative or like bad that's happening in Final Fantasy XIV community, there's always somebody that's like, I don't see why you have to complain about this and talk about this. And they're mad at me. It's a tale as old as time. It's shoot the messenger, right? It's a very common.
The problem with Zeppla talking about this is she went, and here's why it's bad that Zeppla did this, is she secretly did this, where now, through no control of my own, I'm forced to go out to Zepp Live, her secondary channel. I'm forced to click on this video called Did GShade Distribute Malware? And then she sits there and tells me about GShade distributing malware. And the problem with that is somebody could accidentally go out here, could pop over to youtube.com. I don't even know what's happening right now. And it's all just happening so fast, and I'm just trying to watch a video about cats. And so I go to her channel where it's clips of her stream, and then I go there to find the video about cats, and then I end up in this video, and then it just happens over and over and over. I can't believe she did that. I cannot believe she just forced herself onto my computer over and over. Like, I'm just sitting here minding my own business, and now
it's a tale as old as time. It's shoot the messenger.
Oh my gosh. Zeppla, why would you do that?
At me. It's a tale as old as time. It's shoot the messenger, right? Common to shoot the messenger. In this case, streamers are often a messenger relaying information, telling news. And if somebody really doesn't like the news, sometimes it's easier for them to just say, oh, well, I felt good until I liked using GShade until Zeppla told me it had malware in it. And now I don't, now I'm upset about it. So it's Zepla's fault. Playing Tango with GShade when teenagers fight against an anti-FOSS developer. Update. I've been banned from the G-Posers Discord after Marot put malware inside of GShade's installer. Whew. So you got banned today. The problem. GShade is a closed source reshade fork. Why is it closed source? Who knows?
Yeah, I can't imagine. So open source software has the ability to kind of be shared, and then you think that you've taken such control over it that you're going to make it proprietary, and so you don't want people to make forks off of your fork. You think it's important that you can borrow from someone else, but that no one can borrow from you. So when open source goes closed source, like off of these forks, and it's not being used in like some proprietary in-house setting where there's like security reasons, this is already like a giant red flag.
They have forced automatic updates. Disabling itself until you update. Yes, this was really annoying. This is something everybody hated. Annoying devs in a user base that's only large because everyone else uses it. Their FAQ post explaining why the updates are forced is specifically designed to waste time. They have annoying, obtrusive pop-ups. Configs randomly reset every update. It sucks. It does. Their installer is a total mess that also is not open source. Of course, Monkey see and Monkey get idea. Let's install Reshade with the GShade shaders. Enter GShade.
GShade.
GShade is an open source shader preset downloader written in Rust. It's broken right now, but it's important for the story. It works by downloading zip files from GitHub. Seriously. Almost immediately, I got a tweet from a popular preset creator telling me to exclude their work from this. How do you exclude a preset from a program that fetches a GitHub API endpoint? I don't know.
That is a creator that just doesn't understand what's happening. Like, this is straight up, they are a tomato farmer. They are a popular tomato farmer. Popular tomato farmer. What this GShade does is it goes to the store and it buys tomatoes from the popular tomato farmer. It then takes those into its restaurant and it makes them into tomato sauce. And then it sells the tomato sauce. And they're like, you gotta stop going to the store and buying my tomatoes, man. Because it's going to the source to grab it. So like, you gotta stop people from being able to go to the store and grab it. GShade isn't taking your work. It's just going to the store and buying it from you. So if you don't want GShade to have your work, stop putting it on a public site. It's just also stupid. So, and by contacting the author, you're like contacting the guy who on behalf of the restaurant drives to the store. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Stop putting it in the store. Like, I'm not stealing it. GitHub is a giant site for compiling and sharing code. Like, that's what you do. So for anybody that's not familiar with GitHub, because this whole thing, GitHub is where you build software collectively. Collectively. That's it. All they do is host software development. And then you allow that to distribute and fork off. And so reaching out and saying like, well, somebody's going out to the place where I store my tomatoes, which are designed to be sold because I'm a popular tomato farmer, and then they're buying them from me. Like, why would you not want it on there? Why would you not want your preset on as many shader sites as possible? Now, if a different shader creator was taking your presets and just changing the name, and then was like running a Patreon or something, that's different. But if this is just going out and allowing more people to use your preset with your freaking name on it,
I also got accused of hosting and distributing shaders and presets. And even that doing this was conspiracy to commit a crime. But all it does is download the zip files from GitHub. That's it. That's all that it does. But this is a conspiracy to commit a crime. Git clone isn't illegal. Clicking download a zip on GitHub isn't illegal. That is not how automated downloads work. Obviously. Maybe those who said that should reread what that word means. Merat responds. Merat, aka the CEO of GShade. After fighting me in my Twitter notifs, Merat, your shadow banned on Twitter, by the way, comes up with the ultimate plan. At a license.md, you can see it here. Permission has been granted to the GShade project for distribution rights to several shaders and textures by the authors whose licenses are copyrights. Otherwise, do not allow for redistribution, rehosting, or automated downloading. Some other things I built. Here's some other things I did to troll Merat while I got bored. GShade Tango, the ultimate tool. I also made a CLI tool that I never released anywhere that had several features. Download Reshade and GShade. Patch the update. Check out of GShade DLL because this was constant and annoying. And download shaders presets. But you never released it anywhere. Final straw. GShade Patcher. I made an online patcher tool to patch the update. Check out of GShade. Merat gets mad. I wake up one morning to a glorious version 4.11 of GShade. It breaks GShade, breaks my patcher tool. So basically what you did is this guy who seems to have pretty serious control issues about GShade itself.
It's literally what GitHub is for. It's literally what GitHub is for. Like, GitHub is for collaborating on projects like this. Keep in mind that there are things on GitHub that are closed source. There are people that do not want their code distributed, and they're using GitHub as a way of distributing code within a set of specific individuals with specific controlled use. But GShade is borrowing code from ReShade with the specific and tuned goal of modifying your experience within Final Fantasy XIV, which is something that they have repeatedly come out against. And people are like, oh, but GShade's fine. Only under the assumption, the only reason people say GShade is fine is because it's not doing anything malicious. And at this point, now they're even doing that. Like,
and fancies himself to be a bit of a lawyer, pseudo lawyer, and really doesn't like people messing around with GShade at all, or collaborating with other ideas about it, or improving it in any way that people.
Like I said, if these preset people were all like paid somehow, and like your thing is just rebranding them and all that, that starts to get really theft heavy. And like they have the right to say, I only want my presets being used within this particular group. But the fact that it can just go out and grab it from a repository says that you're not exactly restricting access. Because like I've worked on a couple of games behind the scenes, and our repositories aren't public. They're on GitHub. They're just not public. Like you can't just go get access to them.
People have asked for. So you decided just to screw with this guy a little bit and fix the problems with GShade in a completely legal and allowed and simple way. And this caused him to go absolutely nuclear. Yeah. He has made this license. He thinks he's the CEO of GShade, and he has just lost his shit because you have been poking around in his golden goose. And he really didn't like that too much, did he? Okay. I'll fix it eventually, but I'm not in the mood right now. This moves the GShade shaders and presets to a self-hosted web URL, password protected. So he moved the GShade shaders and presets to a self-hosted URL that was password protected by a probably not legally binding password, claiming that I am indeed access this from the official installer. So you had to type in his fake little TOS for GShade to access the GShade shaders. After all this, you had to type in like a whole paragraph that's a TOS.
Why not just make the password not Knight is a moron or something? Like if you're going to be just that malicious towards a specific person, why is the password something not even more childish?
For GShade, right. Incredibly sad that Marat would intentionally break tools, opting for a more open replacement for GShade. So what now? I'm getting bored of this. It was funny though. If I were you, still trying to use GShade on ReShade, I'd give the script a look. Okay, if you're reading this, you really need to pick better things to do with your time than fight 16-year-olds on the internet. Not Knight is absolutely based, y'all. Not Knight. What a hero. Holy shit. Can we get some claps for Not Knight here in our chat, y'all? You actually managed to piss him off to the point that he nuked his own tool. He got so mad about the simple common sense changes that you wanted to make it easier for everybody that he actually destroyed GShade, and now no one will use it anymore. I'll be back to fight for FOSS someday, but I've got more important things to do, like schoolwork. Bro. Oh my god. This is just such a power move. I really have to say. Not Night Slaying. Don't you have better things to do than fight 16-year-olds on the internet? Anyway, I've got to get back to doing my homework. Oh my god. Thanks for making a clear stance that your software practices are evil, though. It looks like we have had our team here contacted by people in the GShade Discord server. I think they share a Discord server. And they want to correct me on a couple things, so let's look into that. I do not want to spread anything that's incorrect. So they take issue with this that I said. Okay, what did I say? Why was it happening? Stupidity and pettiness to get back at people who did not want to be forced to update GShade. Yep. Correct. Yes. I can't believe this all happened because of so many forced GShade updates. Really. Yep. There were so many. I mean, that was a reason. I'm so shocked that this is the hill that he wanted to die on. Yeah. Okay. Correct. Because it was like easier to put malware into GShade than just not update it so much. Like, either don't push out an update every single day. Okay, yeah. Or put malware in it. Why would you do that? That doesn't... So what I'm asking is, why wouldn't you just make a common sense update for the program that everyone had asked for instead of break your own tool by adding malware, right? Okay, so now you've taken issue with what I said. Why? Because GShade has never forced daily updates. Okay, so maybe the updates were not every single day. I think I was, speaking sort of
which we would go check if, as of this recording, we could go see how often it's updated on GitHub, maybe. Except that I believe, as of this recording, it's gone. Dun 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 dun. So, I believe it's gone. Because GitHub doesn't take kindly to distributing malware. So, okay. See if I can go find an update history. GShade can work with any game Reshade does because we stole their stuff. All right. There we go. Well, if we're just going to be correct. So it was updated yesterday. I'm on the Wayback Machine, so. And then see if we can go find this exact. Releases. The previous change logs. Find the update archive. All right. July 30th. So their issue was that it's not updated that often. So, July 30th, April 2nd. Can I go back further? And then there's subversions that come after that. But like, this is all public. So it's the sub ones that annoyed. Okay. So I can't see when those are, but there was a 2.1.0.1, 2.0.1.2, 2.0.1.3, 2.0.1.4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it's that you move major versions not very often, right? You move major versions every several months, but that your major versions have subversions and your subversions have subversions. So it's not daily. Do they have tags? Let's just do it this way. I don't know how to see dates. I've never tried to use GitHub in this way. So their issue is that they don't like that it's all the time. So that's what the mods took issue with, is that they're being exaggerated that it was daily. So it's not daily. Please see the following page for the full update. I don't see dates. There's probably a way to find it. There's probably a way to find it. 33 commits since July. So in 6 months, they updated 33 times. That's every 5 days on average. From 3.0, and then does it track 4.0 separately? Assuming each commit made people update, which is what it sounds like. And then each one of those was breaking all your stuff. Right? And this is an archive. Like, I'm on an archived site, so this isn't pulling to yesterday. I pulled end of January, so close. So, yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, Wayback Machine is not a good way to find this info. You're looking at updates from 2020. So the problem is, Ava, is there a way to do it now that GitHub's pulled it? You want to see when it's pushed. How do I see that, Ava? How do I see the dates? Because, like, that's the issue, right? Is that the mod came into Zepla's chat and said, hey, like, I don't like that you said we do it daily. It's not daily. You won't be able to since this code was closed. So a lot of it's hidden. Okay.
We had to make cobbler, and then we had to eat the cobbler. It was good. That's it, guys. We're working so we can game, so we can get peaches. This was the plan all along.
Farmer Girl, thanks for gifting a sub. Yeah, the Wayback Machine is not a perfect thing. It just, like, it's where you go once something's been deleted. Right? It's not perfect. but there's not better. And it doesn't grab all the time. So it grabs 2020 up to 2023. It grabbed on the 6th. And that's what we have. So 4.11. Assuming it was updating 10 times for each one of these, because that's what the previous changelog did. Even if it's just 10 times per version, and a version is every 6 months, a year. It doesn't matter. You're updating multiple times a month. You're updating multiple times a month. But I've never tried to do this on anything that was either A, not a project that I was working on. I'm not a coder, but like I've done art assets and stuff with people. So like I've had to commit JSON files and all that to GitHub. So like I've had to commit things to GitHub, even though I'm not a coder. And so like, even if it was just every other week, the fact that it's deleting your presets makes it problematic. Like World of Warcraft updates almost every week. Like every week, I boot it up and it updates. And all my add-ons in WoW update regularly. If I go open Curse right now, which is where I keep my add-ons in a game that allows add-ons, right? Look at all these add-ons that need updating since I played. I was away 9 days. I took 9 days off. And look at all these add-ons that need updates. And I press update, and it goes ding, 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 ding. None of my settings are lost. None of my settings are lost. I lost nothing by doing that. So here's Reshade. 3 weeks, December, November, September, August, July. So it's once to twice a month. Does GShade have to update every time Reshade does? And then they're doing updates in addition to that? Is that why it's so much? So like if it just kept your settings, people wouldn't have even noticed. If you just booted up the game and it says there's an update and it went done, it would have been fine. But the fact that you have to redo all your presets, and the entire benefit of shaders is that you have presets. It's like, yeah, I have an email, and like we have a really great website. I mean, sometimes it loses your emails. That's the one thing you do. I got away from LVUI because like LVUI way back in the day, it's a UI add-on that heavily modifies your UI in WoW, and it broke the day of the patch coming out, which was not crazy back then because the API and the it wasn't uncommon for add-ons to break day and date. These days they do a much better job of like running them on the test server, and then they come up great day of. But back then, like, you would lose access to your UI sometimes on patch day. And so I didn't have access to my UI for the raid. That may not be an issue anymore, but like I literally never used LVUI again after that. Every time Reshade is updated, GShade had to update. And then GShade wanted to do updates in addition to this to add things like the forced restart. So that's how they're getting screwed. And that's why GShade feels like they're not the jerks here, because half or even maybe the majority of their updates are really from the people that they're pulling code. Because like, look at these. May, April, February, January 3 times? Oh no, that's January 22, January 21. Oh, there's a big gap there. Oh. So it's really only been frustrating for the last year. Because look at that. It went almost a whole year without needing updates. And before that, it was October. And before that, it was June and then April. So people who've been using it for years probably feel wildly frustrated over the last year or two. And so he was getting complaints for something that wasn't his fault, but because he made it so proprietary and took ownership like he was a genius, he couldn't come out and go, sorry, the updates aren't my fault because I actually didn't build the foundation. Because he took this from here and then modified it and then made his modifications private. So why is it not a bigger controversy with the Reshade community? I assume Reshade's presets aren't breaking every time they update. I assume. Maybe they are. But like, and people were frustrated at the constant updates. But then he made the updates mandatory, and if you didn't do them correctly, it restarted your machine. Reshade doesn't do that. So because Reshade doesn't turn itself into forced update, lose your presets, or I will start shutting down your computer, Reshade probably has a little more slack in the line. Like, Reshade's inconvenient, but Reshade isn't punching you in the face every time you say, hey, I think you're inconvenient. So it is updating fairly often. Those of you that only play 1 or 2 days a week, right? Those of you that play, maybe you just play on Friday nights and you were busy last Friday, so you haven't played in 2 weeks. There's an update here quite a bit. Like, it's not uncommon to get multiple updates in a month. So you might feel like you have to update almost every time you play through some of relatively recent history. You know? Like, all right. But their most recent update was 5.2? I don't know. So that was their issue with Zepla, is that she's saying they update every day. It's not every day. But there have been times when it looks like it's every 2 weeks. And then a few weeks ago, there was 3 updates in a row, some on the same day, because they were trying to get the malware working. It's not even restarting their computer correctly.
Figuratively there. I don't know how often they did updates. It probably wasn't every single day. So it felt like every single day. But the issue, that was one of the reasons why Not Night felt the need to make a different tool that would be a little bit less annoying for everybody and just taking user feedback into account.
Okay.
So whether it was forced daily updates or, you know, forced updates every, like, less than every single day, and you can just choose whether you're forced to update or you need to just leave.
The bigger update, or the bigger issue in my opinion, is not the amount of times it updates. It doesn't matter if it updates once a month. Let's scale it way back to what we believe is probably less often than it really was. Let's say it's once a month. Let's say it's once per patch cycle. Let's say it's once every 4 months. The fact that it loses all your presets every time is a problem. Even if it's every other time. Like, you just would not use a phone that every once in a while lost all your phone numbers. It doesn't matter how often it does it. Once a year, this thing deletes all my phone numbers. This goes in the trash. If once per year I lose all my phone numbers, this goes in the trash immediately. It has no value to me. It has no value to me the very first time this loses all my phone numbers. None.
It'll break your shaders and you have to leave. And I feel like we're squabbling over like little nitpicks here. Okay. I understand y'all are trying to do damage control over there, but I recommend that you just cut your losses and apologize, give an actual apology, and tell people how to download GShade. Okay, that's really what I think you should do. Or have somebody completely different take over and work on rebuilding trust. Okay. Now, is there anything else that you took issue with that I need to look into here? I hope Zepplet isn't talking about this without all the information, because she knows this is a hot topic. I'm accepting and listening to any new information that comes my way as it comes. If you have something new to share, I will look at it. While I was talking about it, someone pointed me to the apology, which we read, and I gave my opinion on. So I have had the entire mod team look over this whole thing, and they've looked deep into it and researched it before I went live. I spent some time looking into it before I went live to make sure I had all the information available, and have had Not Night here in our chat talking to us about the entire situation too. So I'm listening to as many people as I can about it, and it's not looking good for y'all. The PC restart was removed from GShade. Okay, so the malware was removed. We have mentioned that many times. We have been over that many times. And regular users do not have to worry about anything affecting their system. We understand that people now have trust issues with the program and are free to uninstall it if they wish. Yeah. Okay, good. That's what they're gonna do. Continuing with misinformation is what is the misinformation? What is it? I'm sorry, but there is none. This is the facts. The facts, like, from what you said, I'm going to be honest here. From the way that it's phrased, it really does feel like y'all are in damage control, and you're sitting with some uncomfortable facts right now. And it's not a good look. You did these things. Conversation between them and our mod, which I will, for full transparency, I will show you. Yeah, I'm trying to find what's the misinformation. It's pretty clear what it is. And by the way, GShade was banned, and all discussion of GShade was banned, and the dev for GShade was banned from FFXIV Discord and subreddit before I even started talking about it. So it looks like I'm not the only one who has come to the same conclusions.
Nobody's ever banned anybody without what they believe is a valid reason. Right? Like, nobody's just banning people randomly. Every ban everywhere is for a valid reason. Whether or not you agree with that reason is in the eye of the beholder. I'm only banned in one community anywhere on the internet, and I don't disagree with the reason. It is not how I would have handled it, but I understand why they felt the way they felt. There is only one place on the entirety of the internet that I'm banned, and I don't disagree with the reason. But there was a reason, and they felt it was valid. So, like, they're getting frustrated about, like, specific phrasings, but then their justification, and, like, the PC restart was removed. Great. It shouldn't have ever been there in the first place. And so, and saying people are free to uninstall, keep in mind that your uninstall is clearly not as up-to-date as your install, because Zeppel's saying, I uninstalled it and it just came back. It just came back. So, like, if you go to a restaurant and you say the food's not good, and they go, well, you're welcome to eat somewhere else. Okay, well, if I just wanted to eat somewhere else, I would have just done that. Like, the fact that I'm engaging with you already says, like, I want this to get better. So you're just pushing them out. Like, the you're free to go somewhere else is such a childish response. Like, it's true. It's always true.
Okay. It's not Zepla's fault spreading the word about what happened. The fault is on your devs who have caused this to occur. I am just the messenger. If there's something specific you want to correct me on, I will look into it. But right now, these are the facts.
And she will. When she responded to Brian leaving Final Fantasy XIV, and she said, I'd love to know why he thinks New World is so much better. And if he tells me, I'd be happy to do that. And then he put up a video the next day about what he likes about New World, and she watched it. And talked about it publicly. Just as publicly. So, like, as far as I can tell, she's been more than fair. There are times I disagree with her takes. She said some not always wildly positive things about me. But she's always been clear in her reasoning. And if she says she's gonna wait for more information, she's always done that. So, like, if you don't like her takes, that's fine. But I've always thought they were fair. I've always thought that she's probably far from alone in her view. And so if she feels some way, I don't know, it's this very like David Goggins, like if somebody calls you dumb, they're mean for saying that. But if you keep getting called dumb, you might be dumb. And so like sometimes the things that she says about somebody or the way she says something or the things she said about something I posted or somebody else that I like has posted and she disagrees with them, sometimes those can feel hurtful, whether she means it or not. But I haven't seen her say anything that isn't based in, like, trying to be reasonable. You know? So, like, it wouldn't be very nice for her to say something that's, like, for her to talk about this and say that they're being stupid and that they're doing all this. That may hurt their feelings. But that doesn't make it not true. So, like, there's this idea that the moment somebody says something mean about you, that it's misinformation. I've done some stupid things over the years, and I'll do stupid things again. And if you call them stupid, that's not very nice. But that doesn't make those things misinformation. And even when I disagree with her about something she said about me, it doesn't mean that, like, she did it. Like, I get why she felt the way she felt. I see how, from her perspective, she got to that conclusion. And then it's my job to show why I think that's different. So, like, I think they're saying it like she's being vindictive. When, remember, this entire situation popped up because somebody started shutting down people's computers without their consent.
This is the reality. The fact that the PC restart was removed, yeah, great. Okay? It's like I show up to a party and somebody brings their punch bowl and there's a turd in it. And I'm like, hey, everybody, there was a turd in the punch bowl. And they say, oh, sorry, we removed it, though. Yeah, there was, but we got it out of there, but you can still have our punch. That's pretty much...
And it only affected people that were drinking punch. So, like, most of you weren't even drinking punch. So, like, I don't know why you're making a big deal. There was a whole table full of drinks, and only one of them had a turd in it.
Situation right now. No, like, don't be surprised that nobody wants to drink your punch anymore. Nobody wants to drink your punch.
And the only reason the punch was even put out is that all the other drinks required your stupid proprietary bottle opener. The only reason the punch was even in the bowl is because all of your other bottles had padlocks on the top and had to be unlocked. That's the only reason there was even punch in the first place. The person that made the punch was a 16-year-old that just thought your stupid bottle opener was stupid. And instead of just removing the padlocks, you decided that the response was to find whoever offered the punch and squat over the bowl, and whether you had to go or not, drop one in the punch. There is no way that it did not take more work to just in the punch than to just unlock the bottles. You put the bottle locks on there. Just take them off. Like, all right, guys. Whoa, fine. Next time I won't take a crap in the middle of the party. Whoa. And now people go around and they say that, like, I poop 3 times a day and I only poop twice a day in punch bowls. So you need to stop lying about all my pooping.
Next time you come to the party. Okay?
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, but this is not the time to be defending what's happened or defending malware. This is a massive breach of trust. And it's my responsibility to share all the information that I have about it, why I had to uninstall GShade in a hurry this morning, and why I think everybody else should do the same. If there's something specific you think I've said that is completely incorrect, that is misinformation, that you would like to shed light on from an opposing viewpoint, I will hear you. I will listen. But there's a difference between facts and opinions. I'm laying out the facts. I have also shared my opinions. Our opinions may differ, but the facts are consistent.
I agree with that. I don't always agree with her opinions, but she explains where they come from. She's consistent in how she gets to her conclusions. That doesn't mean her opinions don't change, his information doesn't change, but she's consistent in how she gets to them. She's clear about where she came from, and if the information changes, she's open-minded to her opinion changing. So we may not always interpret every situation identically, but I respect that. I think that's a fair way to go at it. We don't all have to agree all the time.
So make sure that you're not confusing opinions and facts. Now, I think that with this dev, yeah, like I'm speculating on what would have caused somebody to take such an extreme measure to completely like ruin all their credibility, and what looks like spite, it looks silly, it looks stupid. Those are all my opinions and my speculation. I don't know what was going on in his head, but all I can do is just sort
Yeah, he might have just had to poop anyway.
of lay out the facts as I see it. There's malware in the program. End of story. You cannot defend that. You put something in a program that's able to straight up shut down computers. There's quite literally nothing you can do to defend that point.
All right. Turns out, GShade's now malware that will literally force restart your computer because the devs don't want you using a competitor. And they're showing it happen. I don't think there's a need to panic about the forced restarts because it's been countered and fixed. It's just baffling that they're willing to go that far. Okay. Fair enough. Let's charge on. This is the dev of GShade admitting turning into malware, saying it could have easily been coded to do anything you wanted, but it just chose to restart. And this is what she went over. This is what she liked. This was meant to be a lesson to you specifically. I knew it was your punch. Oh my god. I chose something completely harmless. I could have poisoned the punch. You can drink poop punch. Those who are uninstalling GShade and moving back to ReShade, do not just uninstall GShade. Here are the complete directions. Oh, step 0. Do not uninstall GShade yet, because that's going to remove your shaders. You don't want to do that. It doesn't even remove GShade's executable, so don't do that. Step 1. Identify your game folder and open it in Windows Explorer. They're going to show how to do this. Step 2. Delete the things that it doesn't know how to delete. Okay, I've had to do this for mods for things like Guild Wars. And it gives you some warnings. First, right? So we've got our step 3. We're getting rid of this. Step 4, install the original ReShade. Step 5, replace the contents of the ReShade shaders with your GShade shaders. The exact same thing that the guy got mad about in the first place. But now you can just bypass them entirely. Step 6, go ahead and grab all your presets. All right. Then you can start to get rid of it. You do not need GShade for GShade presets. So the whole idea was that they didn't want to get bypassed, and here is how to bypass it. Super cool. How do I... Dun, 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 dun. Super cool. And in conclusion, the GShade stuff has a new development. It's done. GitHub is gone following a GitHub investigation, which means that all current unmodified installs of GShade are now bricked. And I guess that's what it looks like. I don't even know what it looks like. I've never had it. So, it's done.